So I just want to welcome everyone. Usually we do this workshop in our office, but because of COVID protocols, we cannot. Okay. So I want to thank you guys for coming on board and listening to this workshop, our Better Results Faster workshop. It's going to be obvious to you why, by the end of tonight's workshop or today's workshop, it's going to be obvious to you why everyone should be checked by a good Gonstead chiropractor. It's just that no one's ever told you before until tonight. So Dr. Carla and I, we travel around the country listening to some of the best health and wellness experts in the world, and we always find that we get more out of the workshop when that presenter presents more about themselves. It tells them a little bit about themselves. So I'm going to tell you why I became a chiropractor. Right here, that was about 20 some years ago. And does it look like I was happy? I was very happy. I'm this guy right here, okay? I grew up in scenic Tingsboro, Massachusetts. Lived an awesome life, had some great friends. In this picture, these are all my friends I went to high school with. Got lucky, got recruited to play Division I hockey at University of Connecticut. And it was during my junior year that my health and life were totally flipped upside down. What happened is we didn't make playoffs. Came back for spring break. I was going to play pool with my best friend Nelson. Played pool. Went home after. I got home around 10:30, 11 o'clock. Went to bed. Said goodnight to my dad, and then around 2 in the morning I woke up and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I felt like an elephant was crushing my chest. I thought, at 21 years old, I was having a heart attack. I rushed into my parents' room. They rushed me to Little General, went to the hospital, and I stayed overnight, and they released me. Then the next afternoon, they explained to me it was probably a panic attack. Oh, okay. So the next day, I had another panic attack. And the following day, I had 2 to 3 panic attacks. And by the end of my break, I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't leave my room. I was sleeping I'm 21 years old. I'm sleeping next to my mom because you want to be with the loved ones you love the most during a time of need. Okay. And they were like, my parents were like, you need to get some help. So I did. Went to my doctor, and he prescribed me a drug called Paxil. Paxil is an SSRI. I know it's prescribed for people with depression or anxiety or panic attacks, and this was during the 90s. So I was prescribed the drug, and within about a week, guess what happened? Just guess. Drugs work. So my panic attacks started going away, went back to school, finished off the year, and it was during my summer break that my friends were telling me, something's off, Dave. You're not yourself. You're kind of mean-spirited, which I'm not. My parents were telling me I was, off. There was some other things. I was gaining some weight. At night, I would sweat through my sheets. Many things that were side effects of taking the drug. So, dummy me, at 21, I'd go off the drug cold turkey, and within a week, my panic attacks came back, but they were 10 times worse. I was hearing voices in my head because when you go off of an SSRI like that so fast, your serotonin is completely depleted. I was in complete depression. I locked myself into my room, and I always ask people how does that happen? And it happens to a lot of people. Within 9 months ago, I'm with my friends in the Cape. That's why I have this picture. And 9 months later, I'm ready to go to McLean's Hospital. So how does that happen? Okay. You don't get sick, you do sick. And I was doing sick. I was doing 15 credits a year in school. I was a Division I athlete. I broke up with my girlfriend. I'm partying, and all those things caught up to me at the end, okay? And thank God, because it made me a great chiropractor. It made me think about health and wellness in a different way. So what happened is I met Carla, and she referred me to this Gonstead chiropractor, Dr. Troxel. And I tried everything. I was going to therapists, naturopaths, other chiropractors, homeopaths, and everyone was great. They're unbelievable. They really cared and wanted to help me. but nothing was helping. And it wasn't until I met this Dr. Troxel that things started to work. Within a month, my panic attacks and anxiety attacks went down about 20–30%. Within about 3 months, I was no longer having panic attacks. By the way, my blood pressure was sky high for having panic attacks. I dealt with this for 2.5 years. My blood pressure was sky high. I think it was like 160/95. That went back to normal. And within about 6 to 8 months of seeing Dr. T, which we call him, I no longer had a panic attack or anxiety attack or high blood pressure issues ever again. And that's why I'm a chiropractor. Okay, just to give you a heads up on that. So we love what we do, and we want to get our patients well. So one question I have for you are Americans healthy? Are they truly healthy? I'm going to pause on that. I'm going to ask you another question. Which country spends the most on healthcare? The United States is experiencing an unsustainable disease burden. 130 million people today suffer from chronic illness. What is chronic illness? Lower back pain can be chronic illness. Depression can be illness. Type 2 diabetes can be a chronic illness, okay? We spend over $2 trillion a year, about 16% of our gross domestic product on healthcare. The vast majority of our healthcare dollars are spent treating chronic disease. And 97% of the time, chronic disease is treatable and preventable. Crazy. Which country takes the most medicine? The US. Brutal facts. The US takes 45% of the prescription drugs in the world. Okay, we make up less than 5% of the world's population, but we're almost taking half of the world's drugs. Doesn't make sense. So if drugs work, which they do, okay, they have some of the most amazing drugs to keep people alive. If you have an organ transplant, okay, it's going to tell your body not to fight off the organ. They do miraculous things. I get it, okay? But do drugs truly make you healthy? No, okay? Where does the U.S. fall on the list of healthiest nations? We rate number 38 out of the 40 industrial countries. So what are we doing wrong, okay? What is the U.S. doing wrong? People have never been sicker. For the first time in the history of man, children born after the year 2000 are not expected to live as long as their parents, and that's from the CDC of 2009. The current model is failing. Obesity, is that going up or down? Way up. Strokes, up or down? Up. Cancer, that will soon surpass heart disease. That's going up. Allergies, asthma, ADD, ADHD, autism. Many of our school parents, teachers, nurses, we see this a lot, okay? Like we had one kid, I grew up in Tingsboro, small town, grade 1 through 5, and there was one kid that had a peanut allergy, okay? This was during the 80s. In my son's classrooms, a third of the class will have some type of peanut or nut or fruit allergy, which they can go in anaphylactic shock. So we can ask questions like, why is this happening all of a sudden within the last 20, 30 years? Autism, if you were to have a child in the next, next 10 years, 1 in 55 chance, if it's a boy having autism, that's not good odds. Used to be 1 in 1,000. Infertility is way up. MS is up. Type 2 diabetes in kids. Depression and anxiety are up. So why are these things going up? Our current model treats the effect. We treat the tip of the iceberg. Okay, we don't correct the true problem. Got it? Okay, we have to correct the true problem. So one thing I want to get across is your body is extraordinary. Okay, you're meant to heal. Just say it with me. You're meant to heal. Okay, you got all the goods. We just act as a catalyst to help you out. Also, healthy is normal. Okay, we have patients who come in here and they'll give their scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, and they'll rate themselves as an 8 or 9. However, they have 9 to 10 headaches a week, and they think that's normal. So now they think actually sick is normal, okay? Healthy is normal. It's healthy not to have those symptoms, okay? So if you're having symptoms, there's two things. You're either toxic or deficient. Are you toxic in what you're eating? Are you deficient in what you're eating? Are you toxic in movement, okay? Or not having enough movement or deficient in movement? So we're going to talk about what we're deficient and toxic in with our nervous system today. So we're going to talk about your nerves. Your brain sends messages down the spine. Your spine holds the spinal cord and nervous system, and those nerves are branching out to every organ, cell, and tissue in your body. And then those organs and cells and tissues are talking back to the nerves, up the spine, and back to the brain again. That's the communication system of life. So in order for you to be healthy, that has to be working properly all the time. So what causes that deficiency? It's called subluxation. So your takeaways today is, what is a subluxation? What causes a subluxation? And how do you correct it? So a subluxation is a lot like a little traffic jam, okay? A car gets conked out at the side of the road, a little minor bumper accident, a couple cops come in, and it totally ruins, like the flow of traffic, in which you were going to be there by 5 o'clock, you're going to be a half hour late, okay, because there's that huge traffic jam. That's a subluxation, a small thing creating bigger problems. So what if your traffic jam is going to your lungs or your heart or your sinuses, and that's happening every day, every hour, every minute until we release that pressure? That's a subluxation in a nutshell. A subluxation also is a joint misalignment. So the bone is not going to move when it's subluxated. It creates soft tissue damage. So your discs, which are probably the most important joint in your body, they're swollen, okay, and irritated. They could even be herniated. That's going to tell your brain to create muscle spasms. So you could be stuck in this position, or you might have tight muscles across the neck and shoulders all day. That's your body's way of protecting itself. Your muscles spasm to protect the joint. Muscles have two jobs, to move and to protect. Also, when you have a subluxation, it decreases motion, okay? And that motion actually helps your brain know where you are in time or space. So if those joints can't fire and tell your brain where you are, things get worse over time, okay? Just think, when we get older, in our 70s and 80s, the majority of us fall, okay, because we don't feel our bodies. The better our joints are in our spine, the more we'll feel our bodies. And when we're older and we fall, we break our hip, we stroke out in the nursing home, God forbid, but that's what happens. So if anything, if you get from this workshop, you got to keep your spine healthy. When you have a subluxation, it creates nerve irritation. So these nerves will go to the ears, the sinuses, the heart, the throat, okay, down your side nerve, and they get irritated, okay? So that's another thing you'll see with a subluxation. And also increases stress hormone production. I want to talk about that. So stress hormone production, it increases our fight or flight. Fight or flight is meant for us to survive, okay? When you get stressed, that's fight or flight. So if you were a caveman and a tiger jumped out at you at the watering hole as you're getting water, your blood pressure would rise, right? Your heart rate would increase. Why would that happen? Well, you need the energy and the oxygen to go to your lungs, into your tissues, so you could fight the tiger, God forbid, or run away from it. Your clotting factors would go up and your cholesterol go up. Why would that happen? Well, if the tiger cut you, you wouldn't bleed out right away, okay? Your fear and anxiety go up. So your fear and anxiety go up, you're scared of the tiger. Would you go back to that watering hole the next day or the following day? Probably not, okay? That's a protective mechanism. Anxiety is cool. That's going to protect you from not seeing that tiger again. Got it? Insulin sensitivity is downregulated and your blood sugar will go up. Why would your blood sugar go up? Well, you need the energy to fight or run away from the tiger. Your immune response is downregulated. Okay, well, your body wants to survive, so it's not going to be worrying about your immune system at that time. Your digestion will decrease, okay? Your blood is not going to help you digest. It's going to help go to your extremities so you can run away from the tiger. Reproduction, you're not going to be reproducing if you're running away from a tiger. Decreased serotonin, okay? Well, if your gut is not producing, if your gut is not healthy, your serotonin is not healthy. 80% of serotonin is produced in the gut. And this is a natural response. This is good, okay? But this happens every day. We have to pay taxes. We're in traffic jams. We get in a fight with our spouses, our friends. There's Facebook and social media and all this pressure that we have on us every day, every week, every month. And we have the same response, whether if it's a tiger trying to chase you or someone cutting you off on the highway, okay? Same response, okay? So if you can get anything out of this workshop, chiropractic really helps with the stress response, okay? We decrease the sympathetics. Sympathetics run the fight or flight, okay? Adaptive physiology. And the increase parasympathetics. When our parasympathetics are working properly, our body can heal. It goes into rest and digestion in healing mode. Our growth hormone comes up. That's why chiropractic is so important, okay? Majority of our patients who stay with us, they come here for the stress relief, okay? You have to protect your spine, okay? So your spine is your suit of armor. It should be straight up and down, and from the side we should have these curves, okay? We gotta protect those curves. That's the most important thing. When we have a good curve in our spine, we're gonna have good disc spacing. And when we have good disc spacing, we're gonna have good nerve holes, okay? But what do we do all day? We sit. You know, about the average patient that we talk to, they sit about 80 to 90% of the day because they have a desk job, 9 to 5. They're sitting, their commute is an hour to 2 hours a day. And then they go home and they watch their favorite sitcom or movie and they sit another 2 hours. So they're always sitting. And sitting, you actually really hurt the joints over time. You decrease the curve. I'm going to move forward to this. Hopefully you can see this. But this person has totally lost their curve. They start getting neck issues, lower back issues. So all the patients that come in here, okay, it's the people who have those 9 to 5 cubicle jobs that have the worst spines. We have to protect our spines. Sitting's the new smoking. So if you need a standing desk recommendation, I'll write it for you, okay? So what causes subluxation? Sitting, okay, on our phones, social media. That's what we're really seeing these days, okay? I used to see, you know, people could be driving in the wrong car, sleeping on the couch the wrong way, always lifting in front of the computer, obviously, weekend warriors, but life is unnatural. Life is unnaturally stressful to our bodies these days. That's why we need to get adjusted. That's why we have to take care of our spines. And bad habits add together, okay? So either you could have been a phase 1 or you could have been a phase 2. In a phase 1, we haven't really lost the curve yet. The joints are getting, you know, irritated. There could be symptoms, say if it's to the neck, jaw pain, headaches, etc. But this is the brain up in here, and that's the spinal cord. And there's somewhat of a curve, so that canal is good. And there's nerves coming off these spinal cords at the joint level. But look what happens at phase 2. We start to lose the curve. We get degeneration in the cervical spine. And look at what's going on with the disc. They're putting pressure on that cord and where the nerves are. That's not good flow, okay? So what happens is we have to have a better curve. When our curves occur in this arc, those joints will suck right back in. So when I always talk about we need good curves, that's why. We don't want those discs to be crowding the spinal cord and nerves in the spinal canal. When does subluxation occur? It actually can occur at the birthplace itself, okay? Either if it's a C-section, a vaginal birth, there's stress to the baby. So it might be weird when you see kids here at 2 weeks old or a year old or 3 years old, but that's why we see the kids. We do not want them to develop the problems that you developed, okay? So we have to go through 3 months or 4 months of corrective care. Instead, we can see them on a regular basis so they don't have the problems like you and I had. Got it? Okay. So how long is it going to take? depending on the phase, what your health goals are, it could be 3 to 6 months of good corrective chiropractic care. However, like I said, life's unnaturally stressful, okay? So we want to maintain what we've gained throughout our care, and that's why I always ask patients so they can continue their care through maintenance or wellness care options, okay? So rules of the office, you need to adjust in rhythm, okay? Just like putting your kids to bed at 8:30 at night every day, things run smoothly when you do that. When you get off kilter, okay, I can't explain it, but if you missed your appointment on Monday, it was always on Monday, it throws things off. So please stay in rhythm. Try to keep that same time and same day. 2, break your bad habits, okay? So stop crossing your legs. Stop sleeping on your belly. Get that wallet out of your back pocket, okay? Don't be texting all the time, okay? Actually have a conversation with someone. That's actually breaking your bad habits. And we'll learn some of your bad habits throughout your care. Please ask me in the adjusting rooms, okay? But we need to break your bad habits. And 3rd, we need to add in some spinal exercises. And I'll be teaching you those exercises once you watch this workshop, okay? So that'll be your homework, and we'll be going over the exercises. So Dr. Carla on your product exams will always be asking you if you're doing your spinal exercises. If you're not, you're in trouble, okay? So to end, my heroes, obviously Dr. Carla, she taught me and told me about Gonstead Chiropractic, and then there was Dr. Troxel, who helped me out, and it saved my life, really. He worked with Dr. Gonstead, that is Dr. Gonstead and Dr. Troxel at about my age at the time. He worked with them for 14 years, and we worked with Dr. T for 4 years, okay? Another cool history deal. Frank Lloyd Wright built his clinic. So Dr. Gonstead's clinic was 20,000 square feet, and he had his own motel to hold all his patients. So that's how famous he was. An amazing chiropractor. And to end, who do you know? Be a hero. Within the first 2 weeks of your care, all your family members always get a free exam, no obligation. However, for their Medicare, I can't give them a free exam. Also, if you have friends and family members who are out of state, I will find them an awesome Gonstead chiropractor, okay? So thanks for watching. We'll check you back in the office. I have 2 questions for you. You have to tell me what is a subluxation and how do you correct it. All right, talk to you later.